This is the rotary joint from the vacuum system from my old lathe, and I just got a piece to wedge it into the back of this lathe, and I've been using it like that, and it's worked, but it ain't real good. So today I'm going to be rebuilding or building a new rotary joint, and of course the hardest thing in a vacuum system really is the rotary joint. Everything else isn't that hard. So I'm going to replace this, and I'm going to use Purple Heart. I'm going to use 3/8 inch lamp rod, and the bearings I got are 3/8 inch inside diameter and 7/8 outside diameter. That's what I'm going to be doing today. My old lathe, I had this rotary joint here that I made. I had an adapter where I could just screw it in. But when I got the new lathe, got this lathe, of course it wouldn't fit. I didn't have an adapter. Fact is, I don't even know what the inside threads are on it. I made me a jam piece that I used for a while. It don't work that good, so I decided it's finally time to make a new one. When I made the first one, I got a bunch of bearings. I don't even remember where I got them now. I think probably from Fastenal. It's got good rubber seals on them. And I still got some. I'm going to use 2 of these bearings in it. I'm using 3/8 inch lamp rod for the shaft. That's what I used on the first one. I'm going to use that again. And this lathe has got a 1 1/4 by 8 headstock, but the tailstock is also 1 1/4 by 8, both right hand threads. So I figured I'd use that. What I did is I got me a 1 1/4 by 8 nut. I epoxied a piece of wood on the back. I center drilled it on the lathe for 3/8, and I epoxied in a piece of 3/8 lamp rod through it, using the tailstock to keep it straight. So that's where I'm at right now. First thing I want to do is to make sure this will seal up to the lathe. I looked for a rubber washer to put in here so I could seal it to the end of the shaft. I couldn't find any, but what I finally found is some rubber gasket material at the big box store in the plumbing supplies. So I figure I can cut me a washer from that, and we'll let her here. So what I'm going to do right now is to cut a washer to fit the inside of this. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can do that. I have got me a washer cut now. It's not real pretty, but hopefully it'll do the job. I'm going to put it in here. Then I'm going to put this on the tailstock, and I'm going to hook the vacuum line straight up to this and check and see if it seals or not. So I'm going to put this in, and I'm going to put it on the back of the lathe. Then we'll get a shot if I can over at the lathe. I got it on the tailstock. I've hooked my vacuum line straight into the shaft. So I'm going to turn my pump on, and I'm going to open the valve, hold my hand over the headstock, and see how much vacuum I can actually pull. There it goes. There we go. That's a good 29 inches. So that seals good. That pulled 29 inches, so that seals. To make my rotary joint, I think I'm going to use a piece of purple heart. It's pretty dense wood, so there won't be any leakage through the wood. I'm going to make two parts. I'm going to make a piece to hold the bearings, then I'm going to make a chamber to go behind the bearings, put the fitting in it. So first thing I'm going to do is cut this into two pieces, then I'm going to drill out the chamber. What I'm going to do is take one of the bearings and fit it in there and seal it temporarily and see just how much vacuum it will hold. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this and drill it out. I've got this block drilled out, the diameter of the bearing. This is going to be the chamber behind it. I've got the fitting drilled and tapped and put in. What I'm going to do now is take a bearing and temporarily mount it in here. I'm going to use some hot melt glue and seal it in. Then I'm going to see just how much leakage that bearing has. I'm going to put the vacuum on it and hold my finger over the hole and just see how much leakage this bearing actually has and find out. I've got the bearing sitting in this chamber temporarily sealed in with hot melt glue around the outer race. I'm going to hook it to the vacuum line, hold my finger over the hole in the inner race, and see just how much leakage we get. Hook it up to the line, start my vacuum pump. Okay, I can get it up to about 19 inches, so I expect when I'm finished, I expect the joint to hold at least 19 inches if it's sealed up good. I've got the piece drilled out now to take the bearings, and I'm getting ready to assemble it. The big problem, of course, is sealing the bearings in. I'm going to have to seal the inner race and the outer race. At least the first bearing's got to be sealed good. That one. The second bearing, really I'm just using it to stabilize it a little bit, but I'm going to seal it in too. I think the first thing I'm going to do is take a little alcohol and clean the races. They may have grease on them. Bearings do often. They got grease inside. I'm just going to take a little alcohol and clean the races out. Then I'm going to seal it up with silicone. Regular liquid silicone. It's going to get messy and it's going to get everywhere. I'm going to make sure that I don't get too much on it where the bearings won't turn, but regular old clear RTV silicone, what I'm going to be using. So first thing I'm going to do, like I said, is clean the races and get rid of any oil that may be on them. Don't get too carried away. Just enough to get any oil that's on them off. Okay, I got full of bearings here. I'll go ahead and clean all 4 of them up, and then I'll pick the 2 I want to use. So I actually got plenty of bearings. I don't remember where I got them. I probably got them from Fastenal. That's usually where I get bearings. But I've had these a long, long time, so no telling where I got them. Okay, what I'm going to do now is put silicone on the shaft and seal the first bearing down on it. And it's going to get messy, so I'm going to go ahead and just do that. I've got the first bearing on the shaft with silicone, messy, real messy. I got this piece cut ready for the bearings. What I did, I'm not sure if you can see it or not, is this through hole here is slightly smaller than this hole. So in other words, it's just a little cup here, just big enough to hold the outer race of the bearing. This diameter of this one is the same as the bearing, but the inside one here is just slightly smaller, so the bearing will sit right in there and it won't go any further. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's actually a little cup there, both sides, to hold the bearing. What I'm going to do now is use silicone to seal it into the block. And it too is going to get messy. I'm going to go ahead and do it. Seal the outer race into the block. Now I got to put the second bearing in. I got to put silicone on both the inner and the outer races. But I'm not so worried about it being sealed so much. Like I said, it's more just for stability. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in. And then after I get it in, I'm going to put a nut down on top of it. Not real tight. Just bring it down snug so it don't really put any pressure on the inner race of the bearings. Just enough to hold it in place. I got the second bearing in. I've got the nut on it. Like I said, just up snug. Not tight. Got a little silicone on the nut so it won't back out. And messy, yeah, it's messy. Make sure it still spins, that I didn't get too much silicone on there where it won't turn. And I'm going to let that set a while. After it sets a while, then I'm going to put the chamber, the cap on the back. So we're going to let that set and cure for a while, leave the air get to it. I'm going to go ahead and put the top piece on. I want it so I can remove it later if I have to. So I'm going to put it on the silicone too, or also. And after it sets up a while, we'll check it out and see if it'll hold a vacuum or not. But I want to put this on where I can still get some silicone out of that too. Even though it might not be quite as dry as I want inside, I wish I could. Still spins, so we're okay there. Now let me put the top on, and then, being as how I'm using this silicone RTV today, this tube ain't going to last much longer. It has a bad habit of drying up in the opening. I got 3 chucks, vacuum chucks that Mr. Lonnie Green made for me. He made a bunch. He made some for Bill. He made some for himself. They're made out of PVC pipe. Now I'm going to go ahead and do some foam rubber around the edges of them. I got some foam. It's supposed to be closed cell foam. I hope it is. I don't know, and I won't until I try using it. And I got from Michael's, and it's just a thin sheet. Like I said, it's supposed to be closed cell. It's called Crixtology. Anyway, I'm going to glue it on and cut it and glue it on, and we'll find out how well it works later. I've let it set overnight, so everything should be dried up now. It's square and it's ugly, but I don't care if it works. I don't care how ugly it is. And I put it together with silicon RTV so that if I ever want to take it apart, I can get it apart. The thing to do now, I'm going to put it on the lathe and see if it'll hold a vacuum. We'll see how much vacuum it'll hold. I got it mounted on the back of the lathe, so I'm going to see now how much vacuum it will hold. I've already rotated it. It rotates fine. I'm going to start the pump and see just how much vacuum I can hold with it. It's holding just a little over 20 inches, so that is plenty. That's way enough. So I'm going to call that one a success. Now these vacuum chucks that were made for me, he must have flattened the bottom on the sander, because when I screw them on, the bottom is not straight. So I'm going to have to put them in a cold jaws and reflatten the bottom, get them straight. I might even have to use a washer under them. I ain't cut the inside yet. I've just glued the rubber on them. But I'm going to check this with my favorite. Here's my favorite vacuum chuck. It's flat. I don't know why everybody thinks a vacuum chuck has to be cup shaped. I use this one, or I did use this one a lot, really before I started making floating bottoms and open segments. And all it is just a nut well epoxied into a piece of wood. Then it's been flattened. Then a piece of MDF put on the top, make sure it's flat. And then some closed seal foam over it. This is getting beat up pretty good, but it still works. At least it did the last time I used it. I think I'll try it and see what happens here. This is the very first segmented turning I've ever done. I'm going to see if it'll hold it on. Of course, it should. If I was actually going to turn it, I would use the cold jaws to bring it in and line it up so it wouldn't wobble so much. But let's just see what happens here. I'm going to start the vacuum again. Now I'm going to put a little on it. It's about 6 inches, so I ain't going to put too much vacuum on. I don't want to crush it. I've only got about 6 or 7 inches of mercury on it, but it ain't coming off there at all. It's on there solid. So I'm going to call my joint, my rotary joint, a success. I got a tank on here so it holds a while after I shut the valve off. It's still holding. I shut the valve off. screw ain't come off. Alright, there we go. Like I said, this is the one I used to use a lot, especially for reverse turning. Easy to use, flat, simple. Here's the first one. Bottom of it don't really seal down good because it's angled. Like I said, he must have flattened them on a sander. So it fits pretty tight though, so we might be able to get a good vacuum through it. Let me turn it on and find out. Oh yeah, I think that one will work. It's on there pretty good. Yeah. It bleeds down a little fast though, so there is a leak around the bottom. Yeah, it's bleeding down way too fast. So I'm going to have to take care of the bottom of that one. Give the next one a try. It's probably going to be the same thing. I'm going to have to re-flatten the bottom and then put a put a sponge washer under it. I'm sure. Ah, nice, good heavy piece of cherry. Yeah, that holds real good. That holds straight. See how fast it bleeds down. Oh yeah, it's bleeding down real fast. Yeah, we're gonna have to seal it on the bottom, on the back. They're going to have to be turned and sealed. But that's okay, that's no big problem. Just put them in some cold jars and turn them flat. Then cut a washer out of the same material that I put on the top. I'm going to have to trim these up better, but just checking them right now. Oh, the little one. It's going to take a lot of pressure now because it ain't got much area. We'll see. That holds pretty good. You don't want to put a big object on that. It's still got some leakage, yeah. I could get better vacuum if I sealed the bottom. It's right now probably about 18 inches or so. I can get more than that out of it if I seal the bottom. And it's leaking down real fast, yeah. It's got leakage on the back. Well, there you have it. A rotary joint that works good. It's ugly. The hardest part of it, of course, is fitting it to the back of your lathe. However, you may have to do that. In my case, it wasn't that hard, being as how I had the outside threads that are the same on both sides. I just got a 1¼ inch by 8 nut. The bearings I used, inner race is 3/8 3/8 of an inch. The outer race is 7/8 of an inch. And because the inner race is 3/8 of an inch, I just used lamp rod that's 3/8. So that's all there is to that. And of course I used a hard wood that's not porous at all. Purple Heart's good. IPE would be good. There's other woods. And there's nothing to it really. It's just a matter of mounting the bearings in. Messy. Really messy with this RTV. But I'm going to call it a success, and I'm going to use it if and when I ever use the vacuum system again. And at the same time, I checked these chucks out that were made for me. And Mr. Green did a good job making them from PVC, and I appreciate what he did. I'm just going to have to flatten them a little on the bottom, and then I might have to put a washer under them. And of course, my favorite chuck, which is nothing but flat. I got a nut epoxied in the bottom. I got a hole through it, and I coated the inside of the hole with epoxy so it won't leak. And I just put a closed cell foam on top. And this actual closed cell foam was actually floor underlayment that I had left over from doing the floors. I don't think I have any more, and this one's getting pretty beat up. I'm going to have to look and find something else, I think. Again, thank you for watching the video. I appreciate it. I appreciate your comments and your questions. If you got any questions, you can email me, and I will get back to you when I can. I'm going to put the email on the bottom here somewhere. I don't know. And please come back and watch some more. Thank you.